Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Daily Racing Form YouTube. I am Gino Buccola alongside Mike Beer with producer Bobby helping us out as we preview the Grade 2 Eddie D out at Santa Anita this week, opening weekend at Santa Anita. Let's take a look at the field for race 8 on Saturday. Mike, this also starts the Sunset Pick 6 sequence. It's a brand new sequence that they have starting this meet at Santa Anita and at Gulfstream Park. Last 3 races at Gulfstream, last 3 races at Santa Anita, every Friday through Sunday, 15% takeout and a dollar-based minimum. So on this one, you're going to get the last 3 races, which are all graded stakes races on Saturday. This will be a good little Sunset Pick 6 to take a look at. And Mrs. B, my mom's personal favorite rider of all time, Eddie D. I think one of the absolute best when you think about coming from behind, flying late and nailing them right on the wire, Mike.
Eddie D was a legend, and you're right. That was his signature style. There was to sit back and make one big run from the back. He was a great rider.
Now, this is a really interesting race down the hill. You have lots of horses I thought you could make a case for. Horses like First Piece last year, very good, but second start back off of a long layoff. Beyond Brilliant also has back class. Yellow Card has been a highly regarded horse throughout. I know you've been a personal fan of Kale's Angel. I've kind of always been a fan of Nesso's Last Hurrah. You have Reef Runner, who's really more of a 5 furlong horse than a 6.5 furlong horse. That's what concerns me about that guy down on the inside, Mike. I thought a pretty fun betting race here.
I agree. I feel like it's kind of a well-matched field, and you're right. I mean, Reef
Yes.
Runner, they made him sort of a lukewarm favorite on the morning line, coming off of a race where they shipped him out here and he finished first in the Green Flash against a really good field before he was ultimately disqualified. But his form is very good, but there are distance concerns with him at a short price.
Let's see how Timeform US thinks the pace projector will set up for this one. They have Mucho Del Oro out front, and Mike, he can fly, and he's another real wild card because he's a 7-year-old. He's a multiple graded stakes winner. I mean, if this race were about a year ago, a little over a year ago, he would be really, really tough on paper, but he just tailed off form quite a bit, still has that very good speed. So I'd imagine he'll be out there, and Kale's Angel generally will be forwardly placed at distances like this, I think 6.5 or so.
Yeah, I agree. I listen. I think Mucho de Oro is probably going to come out of there running this time, and we'll just see if he's as good as he used to be and can get back to his best form, because his best form makes him tough in here. Beyond Brilliant has speed. He didn't show it last time, but he was on a big distance cut back there. I suspect he'll be sharper this time. Even the 2 Gino, I mean, he's turning back in this race also. But this is a horse who has sprinted 3 times on turf in the past, and he was involved on the pace all 3 times. He's a fast horse.
Yeah, 5 furlong race at Del Mar. He's right in the mix with them early on. So very interesting group. Let's meet the field here. We'll start out with the number 1 Reef Runner. I mean, this is a stakes winner, Mike, who comes off of a really good effort. It's a good start. He has to back off. He's about 5 or 6 lengths off. He's down on the inside. He moves to the rail, and he's able to beat Notorious to the wire here in this one, Mike. But they actually DQ him for something that happens at the start of the race where he comes over and bumps Motorius a little bit. When you really look at it over and over again, did he maybe bump a horse and it caused a little bit of a chain reaction? Motorius isn't really a fast horse out of the gate either. It's like if I backed Reef Runner last time, that's a really tough DQ to have. So 2 different conversations. One, I don't think he probably should have been DQ'd last time, but then moving forward to this race, is he really a 6.5 down the hill type horse? Because I respect what he's done overall, but 5 furlongs, a flat 5, and a 6.5 down the hill at Santa Anita, those are way different.
Totally different kinds of races. You're right. Listen, kind of a brutal DQ last time for this horse, but he ran really well in there. But it was 5. He was over 18-1, and ultimately, listen, he caused a little traffic there at the start. After that, Paco gave this horse a perfect trip. He got right up the inside there. I mean, I'm not knocking this horse. His overall form is really good. I can see him getting the right trip in this race. The distance does concern me a little bit. And man, last time was the time to have him. I'm not betting him if he's the favorite in this race.
No way. Nesso's Last Hurrah, I think, fits pretty well in here. I mean, his overall body of work is very good. He doesn't have many poor races. And I like horses that are coming off of the mile races when they show a little bit of speed and then they turn back down the hill. We actually know he can pass horses too. He showed us a couple starts back. He has no problem sitting off if need be, but he's really quick. He's going to go 3rd start of the form cycle. I just think there's a lot of positives for him in here, Mike.
I agree. He's a real wild card in here. We'll see. I do think he's probably going to need to run the best race of his life if he's going to win here. But there are things to like about this horse. We already talked about his speed, which I think is going to play well in here because I don't think he needs to be on the lead, but he can be forward in here even as he cuts back in distance. And he's already proven that he's a capable turf sprinter. He's good at 5 furlongs. He's good at 6 furlongs. He's good at a mile. 6.5 might hit him right between the eyes.
The very fast Mucho Del Oro is up next. He's a multiple graded stakes winner. He loves Santa Anita. He loves the downhill turf course, but he has not hit the board in 5 starts this year. He is moving back to his favorite course. Maybe that can wake him up, and he does look like he's the quickest. He'll make his first start for Papa Padromo, and with Edwin Maldonado aboard, that usually means they're going to be flying on the front end.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can get back to the form that he was in last year, because if he does, he's going to be really, really tough in this race. Now, maybe he just can't really run anymore, but his Clocker's Corner was really good last year on a fast pace when he just got nailed on the wire. After that, he wins the San Simeon, he wins the Daytona, and then his campaign's cut short. He's done before June last year. So obviously something really went wrong with this horse for him to miss the rest of the year being in the kind of form that he was in. His form since he's come back isn't great. You know, I would say that the last time they went 6.5 with him, which was 3 starts back on his card, that's not a down the hill race. It was sort of the straightaway. I did not like the ride that he got there. And I don't think he ran as poorly as it looks on paper. I expect him to be aggressive with him in here, Gino, try to make the lead. And if he can make the lead in here and run his good race, he's super dangerous at a big price.
Absolutely. He's got a ceiling that's higher than a lot of the horses in this race that we've seen. A horse like Sorrento Sky. It's a little disappointed in that last effort, Mike. I thought he got a pretty good trip, actually. He was able to kind of shift out at the top of the lane and just didn't have very much punch. Just like others a little bit more in here. Grade 3 placed. He has run pretty well down the hill, though. I will give him that. And I think 3 starts down the hill.
Yeah, I liked his down the hill form too. I still wasn't convinced that it was necessarily going to be good enough in here, but I won't be surprised if it is. I mean, I thought he was one of the tougher calls in the race, Gino. I didn't like his last race that much, but maybe getting back to 6.5 will make a difference.
Yellow Card has always been a highly regarded horse. Now, he's grade 1 placed, Mike. We always joke about that grade 1, Franklin Simpson over at Kentucky, not necessarily being like a legit grade 1. Nonetheless, this horse has some ability. He's bounced back this year, and he's run 2 really good races. The first one behind Booksmart, then his second start off the bench, sits a nice trip, angles around, 3rd start of the form cycle. I think just a lot of positives about him. He will need to continue to step forward, but it's always been a horse who's shown some ability, and I think he fits pretty well.
Yeah, I agree with all that stuff. I mean, he's still so lightly raced, and I feel like now 3rd off the layup, I'm not worried about him stretching out to 6.5 down the hill either. I think it's going to work fine for this horse. Really, the only poor performance, if you want to call it poor, was in the Mahoney at Saratoga last summer. He did not get a good trip in there. He actually went way better than it looks in there, and he's come back with 2 good starts this year. This is his win last time. I mean, he got a great trip in this race, but he also won the race pretty easily, I thought, at the end. This horse is pretty good, Gino. I don't think I'd take too short a price on him, but he can win here.
That's the key completely, right? I don't want to take a short price on him, but he's certainly solid in this field. As we move to Beyond Brilliant, this one's a grade 1 winner, multiple graded stakes winner. He had a 22-month break. And coming off of a layoff like that, it's always going to take a horse a few starts back to kind of get to their form if they still have any of that old form there. So now he's making his 4th start back, Mike, and his 3rd start back was his best one in the Green Flash. He was right behind Reef Runner, and he was trying to follow that one and move along with him. So that was kind of a wake-up performance from him. 6.5 might actually be a pretty good distance for him because he was like a miler and more of a router. What do you think about Beyond Brilliant in here?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I have to use this horse in this race. And there's a scenario here, depending on how they wind up betting this thing, that I could wind up having some money on Beyond Brilliant. Anyway, he's just a good horse anyway. He's going to have to prove that he's a sprinter because throughout his entire career, he was a really good, graded stakes quality 2-turn horse. But maybe the 6.5 will work. And the Green Flash, we probably should have talked about highlighting him in the replay we showed earlier, because you're right, Reef Runner just sort of dropped in front of him at the top of the stretch on the rail. And then, all he could do was follow that horse through the stretch. But this horse was really running to the wire. He galloped out well past the field in there. This horse, he ran a deceptively good race last time.
And you're taking him out of a race where that was more beneficial for Reef Runner, that 5 furlong race. Yeah. This 6.5 down the hill is much more to the liking of a horse like Beyond Brilliant, and they could be flipped on what's easier for them there. We move to Kale's Angel, multiple stakes winner, sprinting on the dirt and on the synthetic. A couple months ago, he set the pace before fading in the Oceanside. But he's more of a sprinter. His wins are at 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5. This is kind of in his range. I've always been a fan of this horse too, Mike. I think he's a little bit better than some of his speed figures might suggest. And you think Kale's Angel has a shot in here?
Yeah, I do. I do think I mean, obviously, it's fair to wonder if he's actually good enough to beat these horses because he's obviously he has no figures, save the one race on dirt or at the end of last year at Oaklawn. That he has that one figure. Otherwise, he's just not really fast enough to win here. But I care less about that stuff, I think, than most people. I'm not, big on just looking at figures. I like this horse as a turf horse. I like this horse as a sprinter. And I particularly like him in races where he's not on the lead. I like him in races where he can sit a little bit and make a run. And I think all those things are going to conspire to happen in this race. And so that's why I'm trying to keep an open mind about him. I think he's way better than he looks on paper. And I know he's going to be a price in here.
We round out the field with the number 8 First Piece. He is last year's Eddie D winner. He comes off of a kind of a disappointing 11th place finish in that Green Flash. He was behind Reef Runner, but honestly, that was a total prep for him. That was his first start in 11 months. It was going 5 furlongs, and this horse is much better going longer. All of his races you can see on the page are 6.5, 6 furlongs into mile races. And his races down the hill, and all 6 races down the hill, he's been in the exacta, Mike. So I wonder if they were getting that race under him, getting a little fitness, setting him up for this, which is much better for him down the hill. I do sort of take the horses out of the Green Flash that I think are better 6.5 horses than the horse who crossed the wire first in their Reef Runner. What do you do with First Piece?
Very valid way to look at it. I'm with you on as far as evaluating the Green Flash. I know Reef Runner had the best result in there, but that was probably a better situation for him than the other two. Yeah, this horse obviously had a right to need the Green Flash. He didn't run that well in there, but he had a right to need that race. Obviously, his form from the end of last year, it just makes him super, super logical. And I won't be surprised when he's the favorite at post on.
Yeah, and as we round out the field with selections, I could have gone in a few different directions, Mike. Based on price, this will be a race I'm really interested on how they bet, because you were talking about how you could look at a horse like the 6, Beyond Brilliant, if he floats up and bet that one. I absolutely could too. There are 3 or 4 different horses, if they're the right price, that I could warm up to, and I like that as a bettor because there are a lot of races where there aren't any horses at the prices that I like in those particular races.
I agree, and I feel like the favorites I think are legit in this race, but they're not bulletproof. I feel like this is a race that a lot of different results could come into play here. I think a lot of different horses can win. I'm going to stick with Kel's. I'm kind of married to Kel's Angel here. I got to give this horse one more chance in here, but I already mentioned all the things that I like about him. I'm betting him. We'll just see what happens there. I know he's going to be a good enough price. Beyond Brilliant was the other horse for me. He's good enough to win here. I thought he ran deceptively well last time, and he's a very fair price on the line.
7, 6, 3, 5 for Mike, 2, 5, 8, 6 for me. Lots of directions to go in the grade 2 Eddie D.